everyone. Good afternoon. Yep. So welcome to the Maori and Pasifika Super Fair. I'd like to pass across to Florida to the Karakia and kick off today's panel session. The panel session will go for about 40 minutes, and then we go straight into the 20-minute employer presentations.
Kia ora. Welcome everyone, malolo lei. As Selena said, we'll start with a karakia for this afternoon. We'll bow our heads. Manawa mai te Māori nuku, manawa mai te Māori rangi, ko te Māori keo, he Māori tipua, ka pakharu mai te pō, tau mai te Māori, haumie huie, tāikie. Kia ora everyone, malolo everyone, welcome to today's panel discussion. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I will be your facilitator for today's kōrero. So my name is Florida Faliaki and I am the Marketing and Communications Manager at TupuToa. So for those of you who do not know about TupuToa, we're a small social enterprise which helps pathway Māori and Pacific Tauira into the workforce, mainly through internships and graduate roles. But enough about me. We do want to run on Palangi time, not on Māori and Pacific time today, and we're already behind. So let's crack into it. But before we do, I encourage everyone who is joining us to please chuck any questions that you have for our panelists in the chat box below, and I will ensure that we get some of those questions answered today. So awesome, let's get into it. I guess welcome to our beautiful panelists, Aroha, Te Huia and Claire. To kick us off, Aroha, if I could please get you to introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your role and describe what your organisation does, what FNZ does. Thank you, Aroha.
Kia ora. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Ko Aroha tōku ingoa. My name's Aroha. I am the head of the Solution Centre here at FNZ. FNZ was founded in New Zealand a long time ago, 2003. Essentially, we're a fintech and we build software platforms in the wealth management industry. So as head of Solution Centre, I've got a team of about 200 analysts and developers who build our platforms. Work with our clients to make sure that we're, supporting their businesses to get clients on the platform and help them manage their money.
Awesome, thank you, Aroha. Te Huia, pass it along to you. If you could please introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your role and a bit about your organisation BNZ.
Tēnā koutou katoa, he uriri tēnei no Ngāti Porou, Te Raroa, Paitahu, me Ngāti Tuwharetoa. Engari te puake ai ahau ki konei ki Tāmaki ki te Tonga, South Auckland represent. Ina anei, e noho anau ki konei ki Tāmaki anō. He kaimahi ahau ki te pēke o Aotearoa. I am one of the financial wellbeing partners here at BNZ. Basically, my role entails, the education piece about financial literacy, financial wellbeing, as well as multi-sector relationships. So engaging with kaupapa Māori organisations, Pasifika organisations, and supporting our TupuToa interns when they come work with us over the summer. Kia ora.
Kia ora, thank you, Te Huia, and over to yourself, Claire.
Thank you, kia ora everyone. My name's Claire and I am the Senior Manager of Talent Acquisition or Recruitment here at Westpac. Hopefully you all know what Westpac does. We are obviously in the banking and finance sector. I've been with the organisation for 6 years and we are obviously really keen to get grads and the future talent on board. So yeah, shoot any questions this way.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire and Te Hui and Aroha. Lovely to meet you all. I guess we'll get straight into it. The million-dollar question that every grad and student wants to know. what is your organization looking for in an application, and what do students need to show in order to progress to the next round? We'll start off with you, Aroha.
Yeah, good question. So what are we looking for in our applicants? Look, we get a range of people from a whole heap of different backgrounds, you know, areas of study and different, I guess, paths that they've come through their life to get to us. So, so for us, it's about building a diverse and inclusive team, and we value a whole range of different skills and experience as part of that, because we know that bringing together people from all these different backgrounds can create pretty amazing special outcomes. So particularly what we're looking for is people who, you know, show initiative, put their hand up, or lean into opportunity. There are plenty of opportunities, plenty of things to get involved in the tech sector, particularly. You know, it's really fast paced. So if you're not putting your hand up and kind of getting in there, then you can miss the boat. And so, you know, it's all about kind of being able to, I guess, show that initiative, be resourceful, and put yourself forward when you get the opportunity to be involved in something.
100% agree, Aroha. You know, sometimes those opportunities only come around once, so you definitely need to, you know, take that leap of faith and believe in yourself. Totally agree. Te Huia, I'll pass it over to you. So, you know, what does BNZ look for in an application, and what do students need to show to progress to the next round?
Yeah, I'm just going to copy and paste what Aroha said. But no, BNZ, really, I guess the primary focus is a willingness to grow, or growth mindset is probably the target for new inductees. Because with any organization, most of the roles that we have, you can learn, and we don't necessarily expect. Sometimes there are roles that you might go for that you might not necessarily have the university qualification for, but BNZ really takes the time to help develop people into the roles and give them the necessary skills in order to be successful. So personally for myself, before I got into BNZ, I studied psychology. So not wholly relevant to my first role, which was a business senior associate. So I was working on you know, small to medium businesses, supporting them with their lending requirements, and I had no financial background at all up until that point. But yeah, that's the primary focus: is, are you willing to learn, and are you willing to make the most of your opportunity?
Thank you, Te Huia. And over to yourself, Claire.
Yeah, very, very similar. The right attitude, I think, is huge for us. We can teach banking, but someone who really, you know, wants to take up the opportunity, you know, challenges, is really just willing to learn and be part of the organisation. So, so yeah, I mean, we all come from. I'm a bit like Te Huia. I studied international business and Japanese, nothing absolutely related to HR, and it was just through sort of learning and taking up the opportunities is where I am today.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire. Thank you for sharing. I guess everyone jumping on today, they're trying to get as many tips and tricks that they can, so that when they do apply for graduate roles, they know exactly what you're looking for. But in saying that, for you personally, all three of you, what's, you know, the most important advice that you could probably give to the students on our call? Probably something that you wish you knew, you know, when you were applying for graduate roles and internships as well. Yeah, what's the most important advice you could give to everyone tuning in today, if they're aspiring to work in your organization? And I'll hand it over to you, Te Huia, to kick us off.
Yeah, I guess the big one is, yeah, it comes back to what we're looking for is, you know, being willing willing to work hard, willing to learn, and having the humility to learn as well, because sometimes we want to think that we know it all, but if you don't be afraid to ask questions. And when you're asking questions, it's showing that you're trying to engage, you're trying to upskill yourself, which is a real big one. And then the other part too is find people to connect with. So I guess it roughly falls into sort of three major groups. Is connect with peers, so at sort of your level that you can bounce your concerns, bounce your problems off to. Then the next sort of lot of people that you want to be connecting to are people sort of maybe about 2 to 3 to 4 years ahead of where you're looking to be, and that's so they can help you, give you advice, see what decisions you need to make to sort of advance to the next level. And then looking at somebody who is living the job or the lifestyle that you want to be living in, say 10 years, connect with them, get to understand how they got to where they are, because to be honest, it's a lot easier to get to where you want to be when you're around the people that are either living it or can show you the way.
Beautiful advice, Tuputoa. I'll definitely note down some of that for myself. Thank you. And Claire, I'll pass it over to you to add on.
Yeah, I'd say don't be afraid to be who you are. Don't be afraid to be genuine and authentic to you. Being able to feel like you can be part of an organisation and genuinely be you when you come to work every day, I think is hugely important. And certainly, lean on the people around you. I mean, as Tuputoa has said, we've all come through, we've all connected, we've all made it networks. Don't be afraid to ask and just to be yourself, introduce yourself to the person that you're next to and find out what they're doing, because that'll open doorways that you probably didn't know existed.
Awesome, thank you, Claire. And over to you, Aroha.
Yeah, some really great advice there for sure. I just want to echo what Claire said about being yourself. I think one of the beautiful things about the Māori and Pasifika people particularly is their ability to tell good stories. Storytelling is an amazing attribute that we have, and I think that when presented with those opportunities, presented with the opportunities to connect and all of that kind of thing, being yourself and making it real for people through storytelling, being able to tell your own story, give those examples that make it real for people, helps you to connect, and so create those networks and things like that. So I guess what I'm saying is rely on those natural strengths that you have, your natural talents that are in your DNA, and leverage the hell out of those to get you to where you need to be. But just, remember what makes us special, because those are the things that maybe other people don't have, and we can use those to really move forward in the organisations and in our career.
No, that was great, Aroha. And that's such a common phrase, and something we often tell people is bring your whole self, bring your authentic self. And we all, half the time I'm saying that, I'm like, what does that look like? What does that even mean? It's so easy to say. I tell our interns, bring your whole selves to work, and they're like, that's all I know, but what does that look like to others? And I love that you use the art of storytelling as an example as well. No, that's beautiful. And I guess speaking of storytelling and Māori and Pasifika, I know it's a lot of the time our interns want to go to organizations where they know that diversity and inclusion is celebrated, and that is something that most organizations are trying to work on and strive towards. So for each of you, what is your organization doing in that diversity and inclusion space, I guess, to also attract more Māori and Pasifika staff, besides from doing awesome events like the Super Careers Fair today? I'll start with yourself, Tuputoa.
That was a seamless transition. I love that. Great segue. Kia ora. So BNZ does have quite a bit going on. About 2 years ago, our old CEO launched a massive campaign to establish D&I working groups. So what it kind of looks like is we have about 5 different working groups from memory at the moment. We have Māori Pasifika, probably the biggest, and there's a lot of work in that space. We have a women's and diversity working group, Pride working group, and also Tangata Asia working group as well. So what it looks like is a bit different depending on which work stream, but some key outcomes for our work stream for the Māori Pasifika. So we have the, just got to double check the name, Pasifika New Leadership. That's for our Pasifika sort of leaders. It's an externally run leadership program that we send some of our BNZ staff to, fully paid and endorsed by the workspace. And I'm not sure if you've tracked this recently, but the Te Hōkai program, which is our Māori internal Māori leadership program, which actually won the Supreme Award at the Human Resources New Zealand Awards 2022. Yeah, so that was that's a big program. It's just launched into the second cohort today, actually. And I've been fortunately, I've been a participant on that. And so from a course like that, quite a few of us, I'd say about 60 to 70% of us have progressed in our career simply from it by being on this course, and have launched a number of campaigns and projects which have been implemented. Like, say, for example, a group that I was working with actually established a new head of multi-colleague strategy role in BNZ, and their focus is on how do we connect, how do we bring people into the bank, how do we attract people here, and how do we also make sure they stay here and give them opportunities to develop. So yeah, a lot of work in the D&I space. BNZ's also Rainbow Tick certified. But yeah, I could go on forever. So I'm just going to cut it there.
Thank you, Te Huia. That's awesome. I didn't know BNZ actually had that many initiatives. You know, they're one of our partners, so I'm learning heaps as well. So those are some great pointers that I can pass on to the tauira coming through our internship program as well. So thank you for that. I'll pass it over to yourself, Aroha.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if I can follow that one up. That was pretty awesome. No, we've got heaps going on in that space as well, and partly, I mean, we're a worldwide company. We've got over 70 different ethnicities represented. We have across the board, you know, I don't know how many languages the people speak. In my last team, we had like 17 languages across 60 people. So there's, you know, huge amounts of, you know, people coming from diverse backgrounds, male, female. We've got, you know, we do have target ratios and things like that. I try not to hold on too much to that. I'm all about getting the right person for the job, although of course, you know, more women in senior seats is always a good thing. But we do have a bunch of, you know, we've got policy, you know, around diversity inclusion. We run a whole bunch of different events and things. We celebrate, you know, all of the cultural festivals and all of that wonderful stuff. So we've got, you know, different working groups or culture club and various other pieces of the puzzle that kind of come together to make sure that we're celebrating our people from all of the different, you know, backgrounds, and making sure that we, you know, positively promote I guess, us all being part of the one organisation and how that actually sets our organisation up for success. Yeah.
Awesome. And here you were saying that you're going to struggle following after Te Huia's answer. That was great. And I'll pass it over to yourself, Claire. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. So we always sort of go with the, I guess, the mantra that we recruit for diversity, but we strive for inclusion once within the organisation. And so we've got a number of initiatives that we look at from a recruitment point of view anyway, which is we have our Igniting Futures program, which supports school leavers into Westpac. Obviously our grad program, we have a Toa Aotearoa scholarship, which supports Māori through university, and which I'm on the board for. And we are supporting a Ngātai Tini initiative at the moment, working with a number of organisations in Manurewa. We're a bit like, we've got a number of employee action groups, which around the cultural employee action group, youth, obviously women at Westpac, you name it. We've got, there's a number of employee action groups. So there is a huge number of initiatives going on to make sure people feel included and that they can bring their whole selves to work, whatever that looks like. So, yeah, but exciting area to be part of.
No, it definitely is an exciting time. Totally agree, Claire. It's great to see that diversity and inclusion is definitely now become, I guess, the foundation for most organizations, whereas I feel like in previous years it probably was just, getting that tick. It was a tick box, but it's great to see that, a lot of those values are now driving the core of the business for a lot of organizations around the world. So no, that's awesome. And I guess, Tuhuia, you mentioned something around an organization or a little group within BNZ that is trying to retain Māori staff. And I guess for everyone, that's a huge selling point for graduates is, how do I know that this organization is going to help with my career development? Because this is where I can see myself long term. What are these organizations doing to constantly help me upskill and build my own skill set? So yeah, for each of you, what does your organization do to actually help develop their staff and constantly support them so that when our graduates do come into organizations, they can see themselves actually staying here long term past the 2-3 year graduate program as well. So yeah, I'll hand it over to Aroha if you kindly start us off.
Yeah, so we have internship programs as well as grad programs, and in fact anybody coming new into our organisation would follow kind of a structured training and induction plan to make sure that we were giving them the tools that they needed to be successful. And to the points made earlier, people are coming from a wide range of backgrounds, so they don't necessarily know how to code even. So we might send them on a development course, to learn C# if that's the kind of the pathway that they wanted to go. So there's some sort of core streams, if you like, with foundational building blocks to help them progress and upskill as they move through those initial early, learning phases. But then also they're kind of tailored individually depending on where you want to go and where you come from and what you need to be successful in your work. So there is there is definitely needs to be quite a good structure around that to make sure that people aren't just floundering and getting overwhelmed or lost. And so we make sure that we are, as we're bringing people into the organisation, that they kind of understand what success looks like and how we're going to help them get there through those structured learning and development programs. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Aroha. Over to yourself, Claire.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a number, we've got a huge learning and development team that create a lot of our programs to support whatever the pathway is. That obviously different roles need different have different development plans, but certainly there's a number of leadership programs that we fast track people through. There's always people like, I know Odessa's sitting here, on the mentorship program. So people like Odessa will help mentor our young people coming through to really help them sort of develop their careers and put them in connect them with the right people. So.
Beautiful. That sounds like that Tina Toa kind of sort of relationship, and that's great to see. That's something that organisations are taking on. That's awesome, Claire. And over to yourself, Te Huia.
Yeah, I guess that probably the most relevant part is definitely for the graduate programs and the interns. There is a lot of wraparound support for those programs. So when we're working with TupuToa interns, our grads, there's a lot of opportunity there to learn and grow and access mentoring. Then sort of further, I guess, while as an organisation, banking, like banks are huge. There's so many different roles in there. You know, we've got people that work in HR, we've got people that work in legal, all those sorts of different roles and pathways. And now here it being said, if you want to explore something different that's outside of your actual current role, you want to see potentially if you want to go into HR, you have the flexibility to spend a day in the life of somebody else at the bank. So even if you're frontline banker and you're like, hey, I'm not sure if this is the thing for me, I want to try something new, you can do that all within BNZ. It's pretty good. We've also got a banker's qualification package, so that you can actually go away with an actual certificate to say that you're a qualified banker. So a lot of the time, all we have to fall back on is sort of on our CV, just writing that, we worked in a bank and did this. But yeah, BNZ has a little program to make sure that you come away with a certificate to prove that you're qualified. And then I mentioned them already. Two major leadership programs for our Pasifika, one for our Pasifika and one for our Māori. And they're quite long programs, about 12 to 18 months. So yeah, quite significant, lot of growth, a lot of development in those programs as well.
Awesome, thank you. Well, I guess this question's more on a personal note. What actually attracted you to your current organisation? Why did you choose to apply to the organisation that you're currently at? Just to give, I guess, everyone tuning in a bit of an insight. It might give a bit of insight to the team culture, or probably other initiatives in-house as to why they've retained you and how they have. So yeah, we'll start with you, Claire. Why or what attracted you to Westpac, and what has made you stay?
Yeah, I was in an organisation previously that I guess I was in a client-facing role, and I wanted to be back. I'd come out of an HR role previously, and I wanted to be back in an organisation where it was really and truly about the people. And you could say, that you chose banking. People don't typically go, oh, banking, it's maybe not the warm, fuzzy industry that they think it is, or that they perceive that it might be. But for me, Westpac, the people I met, when I was interviewing, and it was really it was absolutely a two-way choice about, them getting to know me, but me getting to know them. And it is an absolute organisation that is truly about its people. And I think, yeah, for me, that's why I'm still here. I've been here for 6 years, and I know that it is a bit cliche, but it is the people that keep me here.
Awesome, thank you, Claire. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Aroha, what attracted you to FNZ, and what made you stay?
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't know anything really about FNZ when I got the job. Well, before, when I applied for the job, I had worked in the technology sector though for quite a long time, but I didn't have, but it was more in the kind of IT, telecommunications sector, and so I didn't have a lot of software engineering experience or exposure to much of that. So selfishly, it was me trying to just round out my skills in the tech industry, I guess. But then I got hooked into FNZ because it's a real success story. Like it's, you know, founded in New Zealand. It's kind of like the biggest New Zealand company you've never heard of, really. It's founded in New Zealand, worth, you know, $20 billion or something crazy now. Like the growth of FNZ, the way that it's built from, you know, one guy over, you know, 17 years to employing 4,500 people worldwide now, the trajectory of its success and also its mission. Like its mission is about opening up wealth for all. So, you know, you can kind of connect, which sometimes can be hard to do in the tech sector, particularly connect your work to purpose, you know. And for me, you know, being part of something that was just on this massive growth, you know, trajectory, and then also that actually had a real, you know, important mission in its life at the same time, was what hooked me in. And why have I stayed? Well, because why have I stayed in tech? Because it's just constantly changing and there's just so much opportunity, you know, you can never get bored, really. Yeah. And the people are great too.
No, I definitely agree in terms of technology and how much has changed. I like to think I'm still quite young, and to think, you know, the mobile phone I was using like 10 years ago and what I'm with now, like it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And who knows what we'll be using in 5 years' time as well. Awesome. Thank you, Aroha. And just over to you, Tihuia.
Yeah, I guess there's, at the end of the day, like how I got in here, why I decided to apply, I did my internship. They opened the door, and so I ran straight through it. But why I decided to stay was essentially because of the people that I connected with in here, and what, you know, it's been kind of unparalleled. I've been offered, you know, recently quite a few other roles outside of BNZ. Some of them that have been pretty hard to turn down professionally, but at the end of the day, you know, we've got a lot of positive things. We're moving in a positive direction with our Māori initiatives, with our Pasifika initiatives, our Pride initiatives, that, you know, I sort of want to like stay around to see them the way through. I am sort of in a forward-facing role, and there are, you know, are some targets to meet, and I guess, you know, that's part of my job, and I do enjoy that. But the thing that really makes me want to stay is that the culture has been quite accepting. There's a big drive to be as inclusive as we can be, but do it from an authentic perspective. So not just giving people the cheat sheets to engage with communities, but how to actually engage with them meaningfully. Yeah, and, you know, I sort of feel like I'm not doing it justice if I don't see some of these things through. Not that I'm responsible for everything, but, you know, I'd hate to sort of just be watching it on, say, LinkedIn, and knowing that I was part of the start, but not seeing it fulfill its potential.
No, that's beautiful, Tihuia, and completely understand in terms of what you said, where you don't feel responsible for it, but, you know, I feel like you're there because you're opening doors for our other Māori Pacific tauira. So you feel like that's almost on your shoulders. I'm here, I've got the privilege to be in this position, so let me open the door for others to come through as well. So I completely understand. And I guess final question, it's going to be a two-part question as well, just keeping an eye on time. Claire, you did mention that it was a two-way street for you. So I guess one word, or actually two words from each of you to describe the culture, because as you mentioned, it's not necessarily just about if the intern is a right fit for your organization, but if the organization is a right fit for them as well. So how would you describe your organization's culture in two words? And then final piece of advice, or sorry, not advice, final word for our candidates, for our interns: why should they apply for your organization? Okay, so that's the final hook. Two words to describe your organization's culture, and final sentence: why should they apply for your organization? And then we'll wrap it up. So I'll hand it over back to you, Tihuia, just to start us off.
Two words: accepting. and opportunity. So accepting of different people, there's great, fantastic culture here, and then there's always opportunity for growth and development. The amount of people that I see, make their way through, leave BNZ, come back because they have, great opportunities here. And the reason why you should apply to join us is, we're on the right track at the moment. There's so many initiatives that aren't just in the startup phase that actually the ET, our executive team, are really putting weight behind it. And when you've got the weight of our leaders, we can get a lot done.
No, beautiful, 100% agree. Claire, over to yourself.
I would say inclusive and supportive. So both from a development point of view and your personal lives. And why should they? I mean, we've got a great organisation. We're on a really exciting plan for the next sort of 12 months to 5 years. I think banking is an incredible industry to be part of, and what you will see in the next, how we'll be banking in the next few years will be really, really interesting. It's a bit like the mobile phone scenario, but if you want to be part of an organisation that really does care about its people and is hugely sustainable and is a key focus of what we do, I'd say come on board with Westpac.
Awesome, thank you, Claire. And over to yourself, Aroha.
Thank you. I would say that we're very fast paced, right? So we're working at pace. We've got so much on. We're growing super fast. There's lots of movement all the time. So our culture is that we are, people are constantly moving around. So that's I think exciting, that we're fast paced, and also opportunity. So, we have people that come into the team, they move around teams internally, they relocate to other locations worldwide. People have been at FNZ for some of them their whole career and moved up, and it doesn't really matter tenure or anything. It is all about just putting your hand up for those opportunities and leaning in. And so, fast-paced opportunity, lots of opportunity. And what was the other question? Sorry.
Why should interns or any students apply?
Particularly for this group, I just want to say that in the tech sector, there's not enough Māori and Pasifika people, and we have to change that, because our natural abilities means that we're actually really well placed for this, even though maybe we don't think so. But because we're naturally problem solvers, we're natural storytellers, we're naturally creative, like all of these reasons, where it means we're actually very successful in tech, but we're just not enough of us, and we need to represent, and there's tons, like the salaries in tech are huge. There's a massive skills shortage. There's so much opportunity out there, and I just think it's, and obviously, way of the future and all of that stuff. So, get amongst it. You won't go wrong.
I agree, Aroha. I feel like, years ago, there was a call out to the Pacific to come fill these, factory jobs. And I think let's switch the dial. Let's put the call out to get all our Māori and Pacific communities here to fill the gap in the technology space. Let's switch it. So no, completely agree. And it's totally right when you say that we possess so many of those skills and qualities, and often we don't know how to translate that into the workforce. We can go onto a marae or go into our homes, and we know automatically automatically when there's a big function on. Yeah, I know my place. I'm the dishwasher. I know I have to go up and do this and do that. And, you know, that shows so many skills and competencies, you know, leadership and so many other things, resilience. You know, I could go on and list several competencies that we possess because of our own cultures, but often we don't know how to reflect and show that in the workforce, or even, you know, going into a job interview, we think, oh yeah, no, working on a marae, that's not, you know, that's not nothing that I can have on my CV. So completely agree. We do possess the skills. Totally. It's a matter of just transferring that into the right area, into the right sector. And, you know, you're right, technology, that's definitely a space that we can start pathwaying our tauira into. So thank you. Thank you all so much. 3 minutes over. I guess that's not too bad in terms of Tongan timing. So we're doing well. But just want to thank you all. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Te Huia. Thank you, Araha, for jumping on today, taking time out of your busy schedules to share your insights and knowledge and wisdom with our tauira who have joined us today. No doubt that you'll hopefully, fingers crossed, get an influx of applications over the next few weeks as well. But yeah, I just want to say thank you once again for your time. And I'll now pass it over to Selena to carry on with our day. Thank you all. Maloa pito.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tēnā koe.
Great. Thanks everyone for that very insightful discussion. I'm pretty sure that our attendees have learned quite a lot from the insights of Huia, Aroha, and Claire. So, and thank you, Florida, for moderating this session.